welcome to Games and Gimmicks, the podcast discussing video games, professional wrestling, and everything in between. I'm E. Huffy alongside the Poor Ass Gamer.
Hello, thanks for coming to my sweltering room. We're gonna do our best to get through this episode and not sweat buckets.
And not pass
You won't
out.
be seeing this on video this time around, folks. It's gonna be too warm, but yeah, how you doing, man?
Oh, exhausted.
Yeah.
It's the
busy.
heat. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Staying busy. But we're really here for the overload that is professional wrestling. We recently just dealt with a outrageous amount of wrestling content, which we're going to kind of dabble in. So this definitely isn't going to be a show where we go up and down any cards per se. It's going to be.
I think the folks can expect us to never go down a card and again, like maybe Wrestle Kingdom will do that, or maybe
big shows,
sometimes
big shows.
WrestleMania, but. Yeah, it's really hard with a lot of the content that we're getting these days, especially now everything's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're like, I just need a break.
It's like, we do talk about video games too. We need to dabble in that stuff, but we do want to quick right off the bat thank everybody for checking out gamesandgimmicks.com, our YouTube page, checking out the American Trucker streaming that the Poor Ass Gamer has been doing over on Twitch. Classic material, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
And following us on our various social media channels. Be sure to check us out. You can still find me on Vero. Now you can actually search for E. Huffy, and it will actually pull me up. They made some little upgrades, so you can actually find me now.
I was having trouble finding you. Yeah, no, you're there.
Yeah. So I do. I'm there. I exist. I post some fun stuff. So thanks again for all that. Without further ado, let's get into this. Let's start with Fight for the Fallen, the AEW tribute show that was just this past Saturday, that conveniently WWE put their Evolve show on same day, because nothing says competition like Vince McMahon saying "fuck you" in your charity show.
Did you see
show at the same time?
Cody right at the end of that event? He's like,
no, what did he?
He said, he's like, I don't know if we're on the air anymore. He's like, but you can't, I can't. He's like, you can't compete with what we're doing here, essentially.
Right.
And yeah, this was. I think a lot of folks there's a lot of different things to expect from AEW, especially because we've only had counting them. I count All In into that. It's 4 pay-per-views at this point in time, because they probably hired all the same production people, right? Mm-hmm. But this was a completely different event than even Fyter Fest or even, why can't I remember it? Oh my God. The first one they did.
All In.
No, the second one.
Oh, Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Oh my God. It was only so many weeks ago that we talked about that. But yeah, this had a completely different feel because they were doing it for a different reason, which I thought was great too. With the charity that they gave $150,000 to the city of Jacksonville, Florida, for families and victims of gun violence. Which, hey, we talk about this all the time with the other competitors. That honestly, sometimes it feels like the charity work that they do is very just. Well, we just cranked this one out of the park, we've been doing this one for years. And they don't take anything that's necessarily very political in nature, such as gun violence.
They're they're the ones that are the more the corporate shill and the and what I call the shady. Yeah. Like the Susan Comans and, that might get us sued.
Well, there's been stuff with them and you think this feels more genuine. This feels more like taking the high ground, and it was a different type of event altogether. Right.
I see these last shows that they've done as testing the waters and working out the kinks before they get to TNT, which is really good. So compared to, I did not watch the show in its entirety, but I read the notes.
Did you hear Caption Gate?
The bizarre captions
were on for 10 minutes during the pre-show and
strange.
Eventually turned off.
Good thing it was a pre-show.
Yeah.
The thing that, so it's like they're almost there. Mm-hmm. They're getting there. Mm-hmm. They're taking a lot of the criticisms that people had, especially the extremely goofy pre-show from the first one. We have a little bit more serious sports-oriented one this time. Mm-hmm. The one thing I think that they still need to get is show length. the show still clocked in at like 4 hours and some odd minutes.
Now, I was tired by the Rhodes and Young Bucks match.
So was the crowd. The crowd was just done at this point. So, and then they had the little post interview with Cody, and someone asked him, "Hey, do you think that was too long? It's a long show." And he goes, "No, we want our wrestlers to do their magic, and not restrict time. But at the same time." No, then don't have certain matches on a show because I'm sorry, a good wrestling show for me is 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's a show.
Yeah.
I can't any more than that. You're going to get me exhausted. Crowds get exhausted.
Sure.
I don't know what it is. And it's not just them. All companies are guilty of this. That's one of the big criticisms of WWE is like, we do not want to see 3-hour TV shows, 5-hour pay-per-views.
Sure.
I don't want to see a 4-hour pay-per-view. I don't want to see a 3.5-hour pay-per-view. I never watch pre-shows, number one, because fuck them. I don't really care. Yeah. But it's just
so I like that. I like that you have that sentiment there too as well, because I was reading some stuff. As much as I am still on Twitter, I don't interact with people as much as I used to.
That's a good rule of life.
I took your advice because it's like you get in all these like misconstrued arguments about things on Twitter because people don't read things or don't read threads or whatever. But so I was reading some comments to Tyler Breeze, and he was talking about he was on the pre-show and some
Who?
Tyler Breeze, yeah.
Who?
You remember him?
What he was on the pre-show or what?
He was on. I don't know if he was at Evolve or something, or if he was at an NXT thing. I don't remember all the things that were going on this weekend, but he was talking. He was responding to a fan who was essentially saying that we feel like sometimes that when they put people on the pre-show, it means that they don't care about you. Right. At least associated to WWE.
Oh yeah.
Looking at Fyter Fest, it's different, definitely, because they want to introduce you to people. Is really what's going on with the pre-show there. But it's a good question because we have this talk about whether or not there's value in even something like that, like the thing that gets you amped before the actual pay-per-view and the real matches you want to see. You get a little bit of a tease of who the people are that may become something at some point, but usually they're pretty green if they're in that pre-show, at least in AEW it seems like lately. But the other thing that was interesting, like Tyler Breeze basically said, essentially, like, well, that's not an argument by itself. We see the value. Like if we can't. It's funny how many times wrestlers have to constantly remind fans that no, we do not have time for every single wrestler. That not everybody gets on the pre-show. Right. And then Lance Storm, which Lance Storm is the greatest on Twitter if you've ever seen him,
is fantastic. Yeah.
He chimed in and he said something to the effect of he's like, why don't they understand? And he's just playing a fake fan here. Why don't they understand that we want 3-hour pay-per-views and we want everybody that we like to win? And that's basically like, it feels like the fan is like that now.
Oh yeah.
And so watching Fyter Fest, we had the Sonny Kiss and the Librarian at the beginning, and it's cool because again, Sonny Kiss is somebody that you would never see on WWE. Someone is open about themselves. Mm-hmm. You'll never see that on WWE. They wash stuff down when I
think the closest would probably be Velveteen Dream.
That's pretty close, like androgyny, but they're not really doing that. And I think that's what's cool about AEW is that they're opening it up to everybody, which is fantastic. Overall, how did you feel about the pay-per-view that from what you picked through? Because I know you didn't watch it necessarily live though, right?
I thought it was better.
Yeah.
I thought it felt a little bit more like, okay, this is the kind of product that we're going to get on a weekly basis. I thought it was a little more honed in. I loved the setup of the amphitheater or whatnot, and I guess Tony Khan said it was his idea from South Park.
Yeah,
I said that's fantastic
because that episode was so funny. Yeah, it's just like the real theater of wrestling, essentially. Yeah.
So I definitely think they are taking, not to say that they should always, companies shouldn't completely listen to 100% of all criticisms from people and fans and stuff like that, but in this time period before they're on TV weekly, I think it's good that they have been taking some of the valid criticisms of things and actually, not necessarily criticisms, but suggestions like the time limits, announcing the time limits and things like that.
That was cool. I like that. That was the first time I've heard in an American show somebody announce 10 minutes left in a match.
So I think that's really cool. But yeah, so I thought compared to the last one, I thought it was pretty good. The one thing I don't like, and so you have the show, and then they do their little post, media interview things like what New Japan does, except the difference is here everybody's out of character and they're like, oh, now they're just talking business.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. That takes me out of it.
Especially because they switch between the role, especially the people who are talking. It's usually the Bucks, it's usually Cody, it's usually Omega, and they switch over into their CEO like, here's how the company's being run from the day to day. And I'm like, I don't really care.
And they float in between like people like Jericho and things. They'll float, and when someone asks them a question about a storyline, they'll be like, no, he better watch his back because I'm going to take him out, da-da-da-da. And then next question, it feels great doing unscripted promos. I haven't done that in years. I'm like, no, God damn it. And I was like, no, you got to do one or the other. Yeah. You have to commit to, okay, we're going to be that smarky business where we know it's all a work, or are you going to just let us try and suspend our disbelief and actually, portray the characters that you are, do it 24/7.
This is honestly, we could talk about this topic alone as a standalone podcast because it's like, I think, like, case in point, Jericho was on social media over the last week because I guess like his mentor at CMML died unexpectedly.
Paraguayo.
He gave him the Corazon de Leon, he gave him his Lionheart name, and that's obviously really hard for him. He's on social media. He's talking about how much it upset him. Right. And then we cut to Jericho has a live mic and he's on and he's like, it's just, there is a weird blend between all that stuff and everybody playing different roles because they all play parts in keeping the company running, essentially.
It's strange.
But yeah, I would say if we're going to recommend to anybody, just to, give you a couple matches to watch from this, definitely the Omega Chima match.
Yes.
That was the great singles match.
Finally got a really good showcase for Kenny Omega to the American audiences.
My first thought was going to be that Kenny Omega was going to go undefeated for a little bit longer in AEW because I don't think it really matters to him right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like he's the CEO, he's playing the part of running the business, and then we don't even have a champion yet. So you can kind of just play around right now and do whatever you want. But yeah, that was a great match. Obviously the Rhodes and the Young Bucks match was really good. But it was tough. It was tough to watch that. I had 2 cups of coffee to watch this whole damn pay-per-view. I was talking to Matt Fowler on Twitter, and I'm like, Matt, I need more caffeine. He's saying the same thing back to me. It's like, it's really cool. But yes, the time link thing is still a bit of an issue now. So.
Yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they rein that stuff in. I know it's probably not going to change with New Japan because, by God, we have a 2-day New Japan Wrestle Kingdom this year. Which that's going to give WWE the great idea to, hey, we can do WrestleMania 2 days in a row, and that, my friends, is the end of the universe. When WrestleMania goes to 2 nights in a row, that all life will cease to exist
because we're already people. It's like they think that the wrestling fan is isolated in this little box, like we're unaware of all these other different things going on in WrestleMania weekend. And they know that people aren't there to watch all of their product. They know they're going to an indie show. They know they're going to an ROH show, a New Japan show if it's there. Like, it's too much. And like, I heard people who went to all of those events and they're like, I just don't want to see wrestling for a week, I hate
wrestling.
Like, I kind of hate it right now. And it's like, this whole episode is going to be titled that just by itself because it's an overload.
I thoroughly enjoy. I really hope AEW provides their pay-per-views on Saturdays. I love the Saturday
I do love
thing.
That.
And it's unfortunate that WWE doesn't see that. They still stick with the Sundays and have their shows run until 12:30 at night. But anyway.
Yeah.
moving on
to what we really love.
Let's move on to the stuff.
I mean, we love AEW, but we really love New Japan.
The topic that, we obviously, at least I have that's where I invest most of my wrestling time in, is New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're at the start here of the G1 Climax 29. As we record this is on a Monday, so they just had their third show. This
Correct.
is the third one. So I've got my charts. I've only been able to watch the first and the second one completely. Haven't had a chance to watch so no, they're on the fourth. They had their fourth show.
Yeah.
So woo.
And on the YouTube version of this podcast, I'll just throw up a list where it has all the X's and O's and everything, just so everybody can see.
You can see the standings at that time.
Yeah, so, lots of great matches so
far. This is the time. I'm pretty sure we said it last year that if you ever want to just test the waters with this company, this is the time to do it, because it's a little bit of overload with just the amount of shows that they have to do.
Sure.
And we do fall behind. It's just what happens. But you're guaranteed to see at least a phenomenal match every single show.
Right.
And they give it their all.
I think we start with kind of just a little recap. That Dallas show. We talked about this. We give props to that crowd.
Do you know how long that show was? Like what did they say? 2:45?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And the people I almost want to say it was Matt Fowler's podcast. They were there.
Yeah.
And they were just in and out at a beautiful time. And it was one of the greatest experiences ever.
Yeah. I could totally see that. It was a very concise pay-per-view. A lot of a big deal was made about the seating, and I will say from our perspective, some of the shots didn't look too great when you got Tanahashi up top, when you got a huge row of people not sitting there. But again, it was just, that's kind of the way, WWE tarps off that stuff so you wouldn't see it. So that's probably all what you saw. But that crowd was there. They were invested in every match. When we talk about Okada and Tanahashi that night, they erupted before the match even started.
I will say, the moment where the bell rang for Okada and Tanahashi, when that bell rang, the crowd lost their mind. And standing ovation, chanting, and you could see that Okada and Tanahashi were like, holy crap.
Yeah.
To me, that's one of the greatest moments that I can recall in wrestling. I just when you get a crowd that, you got 4,500 people in a 20,000 seat arena, knowing full well that we got to bring our A game because look, this arena's not full. Let's make this loud. And
they did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was just unbelievable.
And that's the thing. So New Japan can't be really blamed for a lot of this stuff. It's just the horrible visa process for getting these people over here.
You can't advertise ahead of time.
You can't advertise ahead of time, so it's like nobody knows who's going to be here. We had some other great matches in there too as well. I think I can't remember who Moxley fought that first night, but
he was on the second night.
Second night, that's right.
See, we're gonna get them all.
We're gonna get them all confused here because it's a lot of good stuff. But that Dallas show, I think it's a good sign. I hope that New Japan works something out with somebody or figures out some way to get these shows better advertised so that they can look a little better. But I think that overall the pay-per-view went well.
And I think they're going to, obviously, with the announcement of them going to the East Coast later this summer, smaller venues. Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think they got carried away. Once they saw what happened with Madison Square Garden, they were like, well, which I can understand. The first time ever that a G1 show was held in America, they thought, for sure this is going to sell out.
Yeah.
Well, again, you can't advertise who you're going to have, who's going to be in the blocks until it's like the week or two before. Sure. So it's a little tough.
Yeah.
But so I think standing-wise, where we're at, we can scroll at some of the points here. So we're looking at the show that just aired on the 14th here. So that's the good one. That's the one that we want here. So we've got, looks like Lance Archer's got 4 points. He's got 2 wins there.
Lance Archer versus Bad Luck Fale. If you want to see two big old beasts run into each other, it's also cool. Like, Lance Archer came back from back surgery and was totally not sure if he was ever going to be able to wrestle again.
Oh, that's
and
insane.
Here he's choke slamming Bad Luck Fale, which is just, that guy's huge. That was a cool match to watch too as well.
Oh, there's some throwdowns. So so he's got 2. Looks like Fale's got 1 win, 1 loss. Here we go to Ospreay. Finally picks up a win against Sonata.
Fantastic match. These guys. some of the just mat wrestling at the very beginning of this match was just phenomenal. Seeing Will Ospreay get out of the Paradise Lock. He got out of the Paradise Lock with a nip up, and it was just awesome. So cool to see.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to go back and check this.
But
out.
like if you want to see two guys in their prime going at each other, that was a fantastic match.
Yeah. Okada's got 4 points. He's a top contender there. Zack Sabre Jr.'s got 0 points.
Yeah,
I
surprising.
did love Zack Sabre Jr.'s line from the Dallas show. Showcasing technical wrestling to an American audience is like reading Shakespeare to a dog. It's absolutely pointless. I fucking love it. You're absolutely right. We don't get it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta look at the fact that we bore ECW out of into the world. So
right. That's
all
all
we're
we
expecting
know.
over here.
That's all we know. Kota Ibushi on a losing streak. He's got 2 losses.
Yeah.
How about that? Didn't see that coming, but it's so early. They got to do 10 matches, so we have so much time left.
Yeah, the Kota Ibushi versus Evil match was really interesting because the match prior to this, can't remember exactly who he was facing, but he did a move out of the ring and he twisted his ankle on landing on the ground.
He was Kenta.
Kenta, yes, that's right. So this match, which was really, really cool, he talked to the announcers and stuff, and Chris Charlton, he was saying something to the effect of like, when I know that I have an injury, I just figure out what's the best way for me to use every other part of my body to keep going. And so he's legitimately doing some of his moves, and you see him run across the ring, but he's running one-footed. Like he's doing stuff that, like, seriously, Kota, if you need a break, man, take a break.
Take a vacation.
But that dude's super tough. And
take a vacation.
Yeah, it's surprising that he hasn't picked up a win yet. So.
Yikes. Tanahashi on a losing streak too. He's got 2 losses, and Kenta is got 2 wins.
So do you feel like this G1 is heavily skewing already towards everybody that's brand new that just came in here? Because
it seems that way, yeah.
Because we got Moxley winning, we got Kenta winning.
Yeah.
I'd love to see. I don't have the whole list of who has the most points right now too as well, but let's do this.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to win the G1?
Ooh. Tough.
If you had to take an educated guess at this point.
Okay.
It's so
I'm
early.
going to make 2 guesses. Who I want to win and who do I think? I think we're going to get a swerve somewhere down the line. So I still feel like Kota Ibushi is going to somehow come back.
Mm-hmm. If the right people lose and he gets more wins
starts
from
getting
this
those points. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Secondary, maybe leaning towards Naito. I don't know if they're going to go the Naito well again.
Mm-hmm.
I've honestly I want to see Will Ospreay do it. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's what my dream pick. But
sure,
logically, I'd probably lean towards Ibushi or Naito. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I'm going to take a wild card guess. And I don't know if they would do this, but given that he was a top contender, I'm going to pick Moxley.
Oh.
And the only reason why that is because it feels to me that, well, it was really cool because he had this tag match with Shota Umino, and it was funny, and they were laughing on the English commentary because apparently when he first announced that he was gonna be tagging with him, he called him Shooter Umino, and so they're like, don't correct Moxley, just if you want to call him Shooter, that's fine. But honestly, if I were gonna pick, it'd probably be those would be somewhere in that top 3. I'd pick Moxley, I'd pick Kenta, I'd pick Naito.
Yeah.
I feel like Ospreay is going to have some contention if Hiromu comes back.
Yeah.
And I think that would be what people really, really want to see.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, could he do something in this time frame before there's more contention in the Super Juniors and seeing what matchups come out of that.
Right.
Honestly though, here's the other thing though. And this is really bad of me to say, and I hate to say it, but was Kenta really anything special?
Well,
because I don't
right.
find him that interesting. Like
Right.
I'm thinking about all back into the NXT days. I'm thinking back to the moves, the things he does, and how he carries himself in the ring. He's really fucking tough in the G1 here. He's just striking the shit out of everybody in this whole tournament. But I kind of get why he didn't get over in WWE.
Well, I would say
not for lack of trying. I mean, obviously WWE didn't really help him, but
they, as he had said in his interviews, they really held him back. Not only did he have the bad luck with the injuries, but they didn't let him cut loose like he did prior to coming to WWE. So I say just wait, give him some time, because he's never worked here before. But
he
this
was
is
in Pro Wrestling Noah.
This is a company that's going to let him obviously cut loose.
Yeah.
So I think he just it's almost like he has to find himself again.
Yeah.
You know? But WWE really did him no favors at all, because aside from the injuries, he really had a complete lackluster run in that company.
I will say, just seeing even like Kenta, it was Kenta and Ibushi doing the elbow shots, the forearm trades and stuff, and it was just like a good 20-30 seconds of them doing that. In Tanahashi, who was hitting Tanahashi with all he had in that match, and legitimately, it's kind of cool to see those two go at each other, because they were like in completely different places at the time.
Right.
He was big in Noah. Tanahashi's gaining the huge fame that he's acclaimed in New Japan. And to see these two guys go together is really cool. But definitely, I don't even think that crowd expected Kenta to beat Tanahashi.
Right.
It was
didn't
really
see
surprising.
that coming. I mean, look at that. Juice Robinson's got 4 points already. You know, so that. You never
Juice
know.
and Shingo, watch that match.
Juice and Shingo. Okay, Juice and Shingo.
That was was that the opening night match?
No. That was just from where's the 14th?
It was the Dallas show, right?
Hang on.
Or it was the second night. Oh my goodness. We're clicking through things.
Now we've already lost track of everything that we've had. So it obviously it started here. Saturday.
It was the 13th there.
It was the 13th.
No, that was that Juice opening match with
Juice and Shingo. Yeah. I watched that too. Oh yeah, that was great.
That
was fantastic.
I think like some people, it was funny, they were saying that like that was maybe one of Juice's best matches in a while.
Absolutely.
And I like that he sort of changed over now into this no nonsense sort of guy. Like he's still the flamboyant one, but maybe a little less flamboyant these days and more about getting it done, which is pretty cool. So
absolutely. Jeff Cobb's sitting at 0. Moxley's got 2 wins, just as you mentioned. He's kind of leading 2. Ishii's got 2 wins, and Jay White. Wow, Jay White's got 2 losses. That's kind of
that's interesting. It's almost like this year's G1 is like the canceling of the old guard. Like everybody was doing something last year and was big and prominent, and now you're like kind of like, sorry, Jay White. The whole Bullet Club thing's not really working out right now. You lost title, so it's like he lost prestige, and now he's
right.
I would wonder to see if there's going to be another swerve for him. If is it Gato who's following him? If he turns his back on him again, it's very possible. He did it with Okada, so you never know.
You never know. To filter some of the games into the gimmicks portion of this episode, I do have a running simulation of this year's G1 going on mine. So usually what I'll try to do is hop on the day before a show, run through those matches. I'm not one of those people that actually legit watches a full sim match, because that's too much for me. So I got the computer skip, so it does the quick animation of a match and gets it done fast. But that's been fun. I'm playing as Osprey, because I want to do my best, but I ramped up the difficulty. And I've had most of the matches have been going the 20 to 25 minute mark, which is kind of cool. I've had a couple of draws, which we have yet to see this year. That's the kind of fun interactivity that you can have with this, with Fire Pro and New Japan, especially since they've been doing the roster updates, and you can obviously find whoever's not in the game with great ease. With the network.
I think there was one other one that you told me about. Eric put this on his Vero. He considered it the match of the year so far.
Oh, a match of the year candidate. Yes, absolutely. Toru Yano and Tetsuya Naito.
Comedy wrestling at its best, you know?
When how did it work? When I'm trying to remember.
He put the shirt over.
Naito put the shirt over Red Shoes' head,
Yeah.
so Red Shoes couldn't see. And then Yano came up and flipped Naito's shirt over his head, low blowed him. It was just
Ref gets out of it, and then he gets the pin.
God, it was just amazing.
Yeah,
and Naito taking his time, taking the entrance gear off.
Yep.
And just
like whether or not he's gonna take his shirt off or not.
Toru Yano getting like, hey, just doing his comedy spiel, and it's like it's well placed. With that guy, he's the comedy guy. It's what you're gonna get, but it's sometimes it can be hokey and over the top, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think the match was only maybe 6 minutes, 7 minutes long. It's not overtly long matches.
I think the key to remember with a lot of this stuff is that while they play the traditional comedic wrestler, they are more than well versed. Their acumen just by itself in wrestling is beyond what you might think it is, because they play these jokey type characters. I'd say the same thing for Taguchi. The guy's really super talented, but he sort of plays the butt bomb guy. He
he does everything.
Drops his
butt,
drops his hip into you, and that's kind of what it is. But I think there's just like right now, we always say this, that it's the best time to watch wrestling. Right now, I think it's a perfect time to watch New Japan, because, I go back to it, but, it's fucking crazy to me to see Jon Moxley walking through the crowd in Japan.
Yeah.
And he's getting the treatment that he wanted.
Yep.
He's getting the control that he wants. It's this, and then you get Kenta shows up, and you're just like, these people are all just saying a big fuck you to where they were.
Yeah.
And they're saying, no, I'm in control. I get to do what I want. And it's just fucking cool. It's just, it's like the coolest time. And New Japan just really, there was just a little bit ago, the Elite and the Bucks left. And everybody's like, oh shit, what, the Western audience has nothing to grab onto here.
Yeah, which
you're not
bullshit.
watching.
It's just
you're
bullshit.
not paying attention. Because there is so much to watch. I think that there is just a reticence with some American wrestling fans that they just don't want to watch Asian stars fighting or whatever it is, because they don't have the commentary, or they don't have the direct, Japanese to English or something like that. Has any of that affected what you and I are enjoying?
No.
Exactly.
I still watch primarily with the Japanese commentary, for God's sake. So, it's just... No.
It's like, if you're a wrestling fan, don't complain about shit right now. I got into it too.
Yeah.
So much of my past couple months is just ragging on everything about wrestlers and people that don't really... They're like, these are people who are entertainers. They're out there. And if you're constantly just nitpicking stuff, you're never going to enjoy any of this stuff.
Right.
And just like the AEW, everybody was nitpicking like captions on, and then it turned off, and I was like, whatever, let's move on. It's not a big deal. Like, little things shouldn't cement your opinion of these things, and a language barrier or whatever you think like that. I can't grow an attraction to a particular wrestler just because they're a Japanese wrestler. It's just like the most closed-minded crap. So what we're saying to you, please give New Japan a chance. Honestly, this is literally the best time you could possibly join this service. 18 nights of this stuff, people. Just lots of stuff to watch.
Right. Well, if you look at it this way, if you want to sign up for a month, you'll get maybe 15 shows. Yeah. Whereas for the WWE Network, you'll get one.
Right.
So,
and then when you're overloaded, you've had as much of the wrestling content that you have, they tend to take a break right at that point in time. So it's like good.
Yeah, we live in a time where if you watch something and you got complaints about it and you don't like it, just like a stormtrooper says, move along.
Yeah, just let it be.
Along. We got more. Okay, if you don't like that, great. You got AEW over here. You don't like that, you've got AAA over here. You don't like that, you've got WWE over here. You don't like that, you've got Evolve over here. You've got so many options that, and boy, if you can't find joy in any of the stuff that you've sampled, then you know what? Maybe you're just not a fan at all.
Yeah, maybe it's not for you. Yeah.
If you're that guy sitting at home saying, boy, golly, it'd be better if it was the Monday Night Wars and if it was Vince Russo, writing terrible, awful
Who is
storylines.
this guy, Eric? I don't want to meet him, but who is he? It's just like, no, those things, they died out for a reason. We're in a new sports generation. It's just the sports-centric generation of wrestling. Yeah. It's not the new era or any of the other dumb titles that they add to, or the wild card era or any of that other crap. Yeah. This is the next generation of wrestling, the independent wrestler, the person who makes their call on who they want to be. Mm-hmm. And God, it's such a good thing for wrestling. It's just so good.
It's very, very good. That, my friend, was a beautiful way to end this episode. And what I think is absolutely fantastic is that as I'm looking at GarageBand, we're about to roll right into the end music. I don't know how you usually do it, but I've already done the plugs at the end. Subscribe, check us out next time, and we'll catch you all on the other end of the podcast spectrum.
See ya.